Well, hello and welcome back to Read Becca. We're back again at the beginning of a month and it's time for to be read lists. However, I decided not to overplan my to be read for the month of December, because as we look toward the end of the year, I'm wanting to read all of the things and know I'm not going to be able to, and I still have a big chunk of stuff I want to read left over. So November, I had this plan to finish off things that I've had in progress for a long time this year, which is kind of unusual, but I happen to have amassed several of those. And I didn't finish any of them, but that was mainly an error in my projection about how much reading time I would have. I had a week and a half in November that I barely read at all, and that's fine. It just was a misjudgment in the amount of time I would have that I didn't have. So those things will be carrying over into December, and I really want to put my focus toward finishing those out for no reason other than just it's nice to clean the slates at the end of the year, right? So I think that's going to be my main focus. But I still have all these books out from the library and will probably be reading them before the end of the year, maybe, or before the end of their due dates. So they will be a reliable projection of what my reading to come is going to be. So let's start with the two things that I'm definitely going to be reading, and those are Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is my in-person book club book, and this is a book I own, so it's also a reread because I love this book, I love this series. This is science fantasy combo genre with a gothic house, isolated closed circle mystery in space. And it's so good, so snarky, so humorous. It's just wonderful. I love it. And then that one's for in-person book club. This one is for a buddy read, We of Little Faith, Why I Stopped Pretending to Believe and Maybe You Should Too by Kate Cohen. So this sounds very interesting, maybe a little bit memoir-y, but I think this is on the topic of atheism and agnosticism, being public about that lack of belief. And I think that's going to be a great topic for buddy reading with the lovely Tiffany of Towering TBR here on BookTube. So looking forward to that buddy read. So those I'm definitely, or almost definitely, going to read because I have commitments around them. The rest are just what I have out from the library for random reasons because I saw and grabbed it. So the first I know nothing about. It's Quite a Year for Plums by Bailey White. Bailey White apparently is sort of an anecdotal storyteller on NPR, I believe, as I've taken it. I'm not familiar with them, but this looked just very charming by the cover. It sounds like it's very rural, small town, really lush writing, and it's quite short. So I thought this would be great to give a chance on because this author has written some other things, and if the vibe is good, maybe one that I enjoy. And then we have Auntie Mame by Patrick Dennis, and this is, I think, kind of a modern classic. Like, it's about a spinster aunt who's very flamboyant and independent, and I think kind of upsets norms, living her best life. And so I think this was probably very subversive of its time, and I think this is sort of the prototype of the spinster aunt who's like over the top. So I'm very curious about this one. I think it's gonna be humorous and fun, perhaps. Then we have The Bell in the Fog by Lev A.C. Rosen. This is the sequel following Lavender House, which I just recently read and really enjoyed. This is a great, very immersive period drama set in the 1950s when you had this very strong anti-gay sentiment. We have a police officer who was discovered as gay and disgraced and kicked out of the force, and so now has become a private detective, more or less. Or is coaxed into becoming a private detective in the first book. That had a complete mystery that was encapsulated in the first book, so I'm assuming this is going to be him continuing as private detective and getting into new mysteries. Then we have probably the least likely for me to finish this year is Death's End by Cixin Liu. This is the third and final in the Three Body Problem trilogy, and I love this series, and yet I have not finished the last book, and it's huge and chunky. I love sinking into these, but they are so dense and difficult from a mental perspective, trying to chew through these very high concept sci-fi. It's really broad and big in scope and scale. Like, this is real sci-fi of ideas. But I so want to finish it because I love this trilogy. So that one, aspirational for sure. All right, nonfiction. I have all really great covers, interestingly, but that's It's good. First is The Great Wave by Michiko Kakutani, The Era of Radical Disruption and the Rise of the Outsider. So this is very recently published and grabbed my eye, but I haven't seen anybody talking about it. I think that it's going to, in this short package, tackle moments of shift, and as it says, disruptions and rises of outsiders, and how maybe those can be hopeful and positive turning points for change. And reform, I think. So this will be an interesting sociology and politics read, I think. Then another kind of in the same vein, Stories Are Weapons by Annalee Newitz, an author I really know and love, and this is psychological warfare in the American mind. So Newitz I've read fiction from, but never nonfiction, though Newitz does now have a couple of nonfiction books, as well as a long time has been a tech writer. And so I wonder if technology is going to come into this, but certainly this is going to be about the power of stories and the way that stories can be used to manipulate, probably politically. So I'm very interested in this. Yet another kind of short one that I think will be light and interesting. And then a scandalous read, Off the Deep End, Jerry and Becky Falwell and the Collapse of an Evangelical Dynasty by Giancarlo Granda with Mark Ebner. So the Falwells were, as it says, a religious dynasty in the U.S. In recent years, and were recently ruined by a scandal. They were toppled. These very manipulative, self-enriching people, certainly, who had built something that was amassing power under them in the American white nationalist world. And then they got caught up in a sex scandal. So very sort of culty stuff about power and sex. And I believe Giancarlo Granda is the victim of said scandal, more or less, and got caught up between the two in the couple. So I think this is going to be very mudslinging, probably. I'm curious about it because it's an insider's perspective of seeing the very highest echelon of this real religious power couple. Anyway, I think I'm going to have a good time with it. It's, again, very short, and I think it'll be an entertaining read. So that is my not quite TBR. That's my library list for the next month. So we will see if I get to all of these or if they come at some later date, but I'm really excited about all of these. We'll see if I can finish all the things. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm too hopeful. But let me know so I can prioritize better down below what you're most interested in seeing or hearing about. Or if you've read any of these and thought they were fantastic and I absolutely need to get them in because they might be a favorite of the year for me, definitely tell me in the comments as well. So, because I need some help prioritizing which of these books to get to. With that, with my limited time to go before the end of the year, I will leave you and get off to read some more. So thank you so very much for watching.